in. And they're off at the Great Race Place. And player B did break out alertly, hustled for early speed, and has it by a half length to Western Avenue, who's prominent in the early stages. They're joined by Noble Reflection, and Habeas is in the mix too. Into it, a close-up fifth, just 3 lengths off the lead, racing 3 clear of News at 10, who races just in front of Dancing Rika, 8 lengths off the leaders. Then comes Bilotti between horses. Oscar Joy is down at the rail, about 12 or so lengths off the lead. Racing outside of that pair is Count of Amazonia as they move around the far turn. Mas Rapido is in that group too with Habeas. They're coming toward the quarter pole, and it's Noble Reflection with a 4-length lead on player B in second. Western Avenue is down at the rail. Oscar Joy is the one right at the back of the field. Noble Reflection turns for home and opens up 4 at the top of the stretch. Player B. Western Avenue is trying hard to close the gap in second. In the center of the course, Dancing Rika outside of News at 10. In between those two, into it. Here's Dancing Rika coming on the outside, trying to get into second with Noble Reflection well clear, and Noble Reflection and Kyle Frey, runaway winners of the opener. Tight blanket photo. Dancing Rika ended up completing that exacta. In that photo as well was Count of Amazonia, News at 10, and into it. Abba to the outside. In the gate. And they're off. Father Ted was out very alertly, but there's a little battle for the front end. Coco-san is a bit quicker now and takes the lead. Here's San Saba rushing up nicely to challenge. In between those two, Elusive Moon. And here's Madaket Road, a close-up for 2 lengths off the pace. Then comes Targarius, Father Ted outside of him, and another 3 to Jumper Cables. Less than a half mile to go. 3 across the track. Coco-san at the rail. Elusive Moon and San Saba. San Saba on the outside. Now on even terms with Coco-san with 3 furlongs to run. Madaket Road ridden along, angled off the rail to come after his stablemate San Saba, who's gotten the lead easily. Behind that group comes Father Ted and 4 more to Jumper Cables. They pass the quarter pole and turn for home. San Saba on the outside. Coco-san fighting bravely. 3.5 more. Madaket Road clearly into third. They're in the final furlong. San Saba, Coco-san won't go away, and Madaket Road is now finding his best stride, and Madaket Road takes the lead. Father Ted running a big race on the outside. Madaket Road, Father Ted, Madaket Road has prevailed over a very nice debut from Father Ted. Then it was San Saba third in front of Coco-san. Haven comes up and in. They're in the gate. And they're off. Lee's Baby Girl came out alertly. Preem has speed. Slick is tucked in along the inside with good early foot. And here's an early run from Stormy Paradise up to take second. They're followed by Whirlwind, who's 3 deep on the outside of McKenna Rita, and down at the rail comes Big Leap. The first-time starter is 6 lengths off the lead as they round the clubhouse turn. That group is followed by Calmate, racing on the inside of Behaven. Another 2 to Isn't She Loverly, and Agro hard-ridden at the back of the field. They swing onto the back stretch, and it's Joel Rosario and Lee's Baby Girl controlling the pace, prompted by Stormy Paradise in second. A gap of 4. Slick gets a good trip in third. On the outside of her comes Preem, 4th past a half-mile pole, and Preem is 4 lengths off the lead. Then Big Leap, who's down on the inside of Whirlwind. McKenna Rita is just behind that pair, 3/4 to Behaven. Another 2 back to Calmate. Isn't She Loverly? And far back to Agro. around the far turn, and Lee's Baby Girl has shrugged off that early battle from Preem. The danger becomes Slick, who's closing in from second at the top of the stretch. Lee's Baby Girl in between horses. Slick, Preem is on the outside of them. Down at the rail, Big Leap is in fourth, and Slick has taken command inside the final eighth of a mile. Behavin' rallying on the outside, trying to get into second, but it will be Slick. Slick is much the best under Umberto Rispoli, scoring by nearly 4 lengths. Behavin' completes the exacta in front of Preem and McKenna Rita. In the gate. And they're off. Quick start for Nini Diamond. Barbera, Lady Marianne is up in the mix too. And down at the rail, here's Big Pop in the red colors up to take the third spot. Then comes Dendera, now racing in fifth on the outside of Lady Marianne. A gap of 3 back to Berry Valley. Stop Digging, and Tizzy Twister is already close to 15 lengths off Nini Diamond, who streaks past the half-mile pole, leading a half length, prompted by Barbera in second. 2 more to Big Pop in the Red Silks third. Then comes Lady Marianne and Dendera fifth, 3 lengths off the lead. Another 3 back to Stop Digging on the outside of Berry Valley, and Tizzy Twister far behind. Less than 3/8 of a mile to travel. It's Nini Diamond at the rail. Barbera just a head away. Those two stride for stride, and Barbera puts her head in front. On the back of the field, Stop Digging is launching a 5-wide bid. In front of her currently is Big Pop there at the top of the stretch. And it's Barbera, Nini Diamond, Big Pop, 3 lengths back to Stop Digging in fourth. Lady Marianne is down at the rail. Barbera emerges with the lead, trying to fend off Big Pop, and Barbera leads it by a length. Stop Digging continues to close strongly on the outside. Here's the line. Barbera got there. Stop Digging strongly into second. Big Pop was third in front of Dendera. For race 5 in 23 minutes. We're in the gate. And they're off. September Magic is very quick. So is Wordplay, showing good early foot. Just in behind them comes Free and Humble. Karuru in between horses, and they're joined and passed by Moment's Pleasure on the outside. Tiara Queen is 5 lengths off the lead. Then Shocking Gray inside Lady Claypool. Edessia is second to last, and Control Function is at the back. 9 lengths off front-running September Magic, who's the clear-cut leader past the 6-furlong pole. In front by 2 lengths over Free and Humble in second. Another 3 back to Moment's Pleasure third, and Wordplay tucked in along the inside fourth, 5 lengths off the lead. Then Tiara Queen, a bit eager under a hold between horses. Karuru is next, racing a length in front of both Shocking Gray and Lady Claypool. It's another 2 to Edessia and Control Function. Not much change. Half mile to travel. September Magic remains the target. A length and a half to Free and Humble in second. Then Moment's Pleasure, Wordplay still right together, followed by Tiara Queen. Karuru is 3 deep, joined at the rail by Shocking Gray, who's within 5 or 6 of the leader. Behind them, Lady Claypool, Control Function, and Edessia. They're coming to the quarter pole, and it's September Magic. Moment's Pleasure makes a nice move now. From the back, Lady Claypool is unleashed on the far outside. Behind them, Wordplay. They're at the top of the stretch, and Moment's Pleasure has emerged with the lead. A continued rally from Lady Claypool on the outside as Wordplay comes through on the fence. Wordplay, Lady Claypool, Moment's Pleasure in between them. 3 coming for the wire together. A driving finish. Here's the line. Photo finish, moment's pleasure, ultra game on the inside of Lady Claypool. Then it was Wordplay in third, fourth between Control Function and Shocking Gray.
The $20,000 check to the racetrack chaplain.
Outside. In the gate. And they're off in the Lafitte Pink Eye Jr. Lamas alert out of the gate, so is Tarantino, and Ashcroft with good comeback speed in the mix too. JB strikes back, now moves forward between horses to battle with Tarantino, and those two are head and head rounding the first turn. Ashcroft hugs the rail and now puts his head in front. Just in behind them comes American Admiral, now tucked in fourth. Then the big cap winner Express Train, 5 lengths off the lead. He's followed by Katona. The two trailers are Lamas and Golden Eye at the back of the field. They swing on to the backstretch with Ashcroft the leader. JB strikes back just a head away second. 2 more to Tarantino in the clear, while 3 wide third. American Admiral drafting in behind them fourth. Express Train a close-up fifth, just 3 lengths off the lead as JB strikes back has taken over, coming to the half-mile pole. Katona is next with 5 to make up. He's 5 lengths clear of Lamas, and Golden Eye is at the back. Into the far turn. JB strikes back, leads it by a length. Tackled now by Tarantino, who makes his move in second. Then it's Express Train moving into third. American Admiral between horses. Ashcroft losing ground at the rail. Katona outside of them. 5 lengths back to Golden Eye. And Lamas a quarter of a mile to go. JB strikes back. And Tarantino 2 clear of Express Train at the top of the stretch. JB strikes back, clinging to the lead. On the outside of him, Tarantino is in second. American Admiral has switched to the outside and is gathering nice momentum with big strides outside of Express Train. A 16th to go. JB strikes back. American Admiral on the outside, and Tarantino. JB strikes back. Has won the Lafitte Pink Eye Jr. A photo between Tarantino and American Admiral. Express Train checked in fourth. Last one to load is SEAL Team. Goes in. And they're off in the San Gabriel. Cabo Spirit was out very quickly, so is Johannes, and Astronomer has good pace along the inside, Johannes being taken back. Here's 911 Turbo and SEAL Team out widest of all. Mi Hermano Ramon is only 2.5 or so off the lead. Then comes Dicey Mochara toward the back of the field. The 2 trailers stretch running Easter on the inside of Escape Artist. They move by the stands and into the first turn, and it's Cabo Spirit as expected, setting the pace, racing a bit off the rail, but sprinting clear to lead it by almost 3 lengths. 911 Turbo and Johannes are head and head second and third, and they're followed by SEAL Team fourth, 5 lengths off the lead. Mi Hermano Ramon is next, followed by Astronomer, Dicey Mochara. Easter is a little bit eager. He's tugging a bit along the inside of Escape Artist. 8 lengths covers the field down the back stretch, and it's Frankie Dettori and Cabo Spirit carving out the fractions, 1.5 lengths. 911 Turbo in second, Johannes at the rail, joined by SEAL Team in between horses, who's only 2.5 or so off the lead as the field moves into the far turn. Mi Hermano Ramon is outside of them. Then Dicey Mochara asks for a bit more. Astronomer has lost some ground. Easter is 7 lengths off the lead, and another 3 to Escape Artist. They're a quarter of a mile from home. SEAL Team in between horses. Mi Hermano Ramon running a big race. Johannes swings to the outside. Cabo Spirit is down at the rail. They're a furlong from the finish. And Johannes, very confidently handled on the outside, has cruised up to Seal Team and me, Hermano Ramon. It's Johannes taking care of business. This superstar wins the San Gabriel. Me, Hermano Ramon was second. Then it was Seal Team in a photo with an oncoming Easter. What a year for Johannes. Imagination, white cap. Raging Torrent in the purple to complete the line. And they're off in the Malibu. And Stronghold comes out running for the early lead. Here's Raging Torrent sprinting up, and Pilot Commander with good natural early foot too. Imagination is fourth in the early going. Mystic Dan broke on the pace, but is settling 7 off them, and another 2 to Winterfell kept off the rail. Juan Hernandez and Pilot Commander take him past the 5/8 pole in charge by 2. Tracked by Raging Torrent in second. Then it's Imagination together with Stronghold. A gap of 5 or 6 back to Winterfell, who joins an unhurried Mystic Dan. They're heading into the far turn behind Pilot Commander, who takes the Malibu field past the 3/8 pole in front by a length and a half. Frankie Dettori getting after Raging Torrent, trying to close the gap in second. Imagination traveling kindly at the rail in third. Stronghold makes his move on the outside. It's a gap of 5 to Winterfell. Nothing yet from Mystic Dan. They pass the quarter pole and turn for home. Pilot Commander's been there every step of the way. There's room for Imagination coming through as Stronghold puts his head in front on the outside. They're in the final furlong, and it's Raging Torrent. Stronghold coming gamely after him, and down at the rail, Imagination. Raging Torrent by 2 past the 16th pole, and Raging Torrent and Frankie Dettori cruise to victory in the Malibu. Stronghold was second, Imagination third in front of Pilot Commander and Winterfell. In the gate. And they're off in the Mathis Mile. Clean start. King of Gosford is going out for the early lead. Hard-headed, Stay Hot is in between them. And now Atitlan moves up to take that second spot. Lord Bullingdon 4 lengths off the lead. Call Sign 7 second to last. And Cathal is at the back of the field. Flavian Prad and the favorite, King of Gosford, will dictate the terms from that inside post, leading it by a length and a half. Atitlan is racing in second. They're followed by Stay Hot, tucked in neatly at the rail in third. And Hard-headed is fourth, 4 lengths off them. Lord Bullingdon has made it over to the inside, racing 3 clear of Call Sign 7 and Cathal. Down the back stretch, King of Gosford leads by a half length. Atitlan goes to put some pressure on him now as they sprint toward the half-mile pole. Stay Hot, comfortable in third as they reach the half-mile pole. Then it's Hard-headed in fourth, followed by Lord Bullingdon fifth, 5 lengths off the lead, 2 clear of Call Sign 7 and Cathal. It's King of Gosford around the far turn. Atitlan comes right back at him once again. And Atitlan, and at the rail, King of Gosford, nose to nose. King of Gosford keeps fending him off, but Atitlan won't go away in second. In the meantime, Stay Hot angles to the outside with the lime cap. He's had the dream trip as they come to the 8th pole. King of Gosford a length and a half to Atitlan, and Stay Hot on the outside is finishing with a flourish in third, a 16th to go. King of Gosford clinging to the lead. Stay Hot gives him one final try. We salute Flavian Pratt aboard King of Gosford to win the Mathis Mile. Second to Stay Hot in front of Atitlan. His 56th graded stakes victory, an all-time record for Flavian Pratt. They're in the gate. And they're off in the La Brea Stakes presented by Don Julio. And the undefeated Sandy Bottom rockets out of the gate, opens up a couple lengths in the first few jumps. Here's Kinza. Splendora is coming through along the inside. One Magic Filly is in the mix, as is Copian. Just behind them, Hope Road gets a good spot, 4 lengths off the lead. Another 2 back to Accuracy, and Sugarfish is the distant trailer. It's Sandy Bottom taking them to the half-mile pole. 3/4 of a length, Copian moves into second. Then Kinza third, followed at the rail by Splendora, and one Magic Filly 3 deep, 3 lengths off the lead, accelerating on the outside and taking the third spot as they round the far turn. Hope Road is next, past the 3/8 pole with 5 to make up. She's also starting to advance as they get toward the top of the stretch. Accuracy is next, and Sugarfish has trailed throughout. Copian takes the lead away from Sandy Bottom, opens up to Hope Road on the outside. Now gets a reminder to come after that. Copian, who has a 3-length lead. It's Copian in charge inside the final 1/8 of a mile. Hope Road in second, followed by Splendora, who's picking up some pieces late, but Copian has come back in fine style, and Copian has won the La Brea Stakes handily by 3 lengths. Splendora finished second, and Sugarfish rocketed home to get the show dough. Is the Grade 1 American Oaks. Scratch 1 Omaha Girl, scratch 2 Sakura Blossom. They'll be at the gate, and it is Rashmi going in. We're in the gate. And they're off in the American Oaks. Chitalis is out alertly. So is Valence on the outside, flashing some early foot, and strutting with the white cap is up and on the pace too as they cross the dirt. A little bit of crowding there. Vibes took an awkward jump and is racing only 2 lengths off the lead. So it's Chitalis just in front. Vibes is racing a joint second. Mizion in the yellow colors, and Valence is just outside of them. That leaves strutting at the rail in the 5th spot, only 2 or so off the lead. She Feels Pretty is racing 1 from the fence and pulling her way forward. It's another 2 lengths back to Baltic Fire, who races just on the outside of Watchtower, moving into the clubhouse turn. Then it's Medoro. Kathy and Marissa is unhurried, second to last at this stage, about a dozen lengths or so off the leaders, and Rashmi trails. They make their way onto the backstretch, and it's Vibes just in front, pressed by Valence. Valence now takes the lead. She Feels Pretty tracks the top pair in a good spot third, just 2.5 off the lead. Chitalis is back to 4th. Mizion is next, followed by strutting toward the half-mile pole. Baltic Fire on the outside. Kathy and Marissa is making an early bid in the yellow colors, passing horses one by one. There goes Kathy and Marissa, a bold move all the way up to take 3rd as they move into the far turn. At the back of the field, Watchtower and Medoro stride for stride, and Rashmi has trailed throughout. Around the turn, and it's Vibes just in front. Valence still right up alongside Kathy and Marissa, and now there goes She Feels Pretty with an electrifying move at the top of the stretch, taking command and cruising to the 8th pole. Kathy and Marissa 3 lengths back in second. Madoro's in third. In the final furlong, She Feels Pretty is absolutely gorgeous as she dominates and outclasses them in the American Oaks. Kathy and Marissa was second. Medoro finished third, and Rashmi from last into 4th.
Well, that was a lot of fun yesterday, wasn't it? 41,000 people on track, total handle in excess of $21 million. And a sincere thank you from everybody here at St. Anita Park and First Bet Racing. Of course, thank yous to everybody, not only just the employees, of course, but also the owners, the trainers, the jockeys, the backstretch help, and more importantly, the horse players. Without your wagering support, we couldn't do it without you, that's for sure. Of course, there's a little bit of a hangover today, but we've got a good 9-race card, and we've got an excellent seminar guest. He certainly contributed to the handle yesterday. That's because he's got a lot of money in his pocket. He finished third in the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, took home in excess of $200,000. His name, Tyler Hoffman. Tyler, happy Friday. Welcome to the seminar.
Happy Friday, TQ. Thank you so much for having me back. It's always a pleasure.
Now, you did well in the BCBC, but it begs the question, how'd you do yesterday in the $1,500 tournament?
Hey, sometimes you're a great handicapper, and sometimes the handicap doesn't quite work out so well. But it's okay. We're back today to try to make some money.
Let's just say you bounced off the Breeders' Cup effort.
Definitely bounced, unfortunately.
Let's talk about the Breeders' Cup tournament, because I know very little about how it transpired, so I'll certainly learn as well as the audience will right now. Did you win your way into the BCBC, or did you buy in?
No, won my way in through a qualifying contest on Haskell Day over at Monmouth Park. It was a great tournament over there. They gave away a ton of seats. I was fortunate to, ironically, also finish third in that contest and parlayed it to a third in the BCBC.
So with the Haskell tournament, how much was the buy-in?
That was a $1,000 buy-in, $1,000 entry fee, so $2,000 total.
And then what'd you wind up with your final bankroll finishing third in the Haskell?
I ended up just shy of about, I want to say $9,000.
So you turn your $2,000 into $9,000, plus you got a $10,000 value Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge seat. So that's a 2-day tournament. Of course, it was the first weekend in November. How did day one go for you? I have no idea what you did on day one.
Yeah, so day one was fortunate enough to get started right off the bat with a nice double that finished with Immersive in the juvenile fillies. Was able to parlay that in about a $17,000 bankroll, and that basically set everything up for Saturday's effort.
How big was your double that you played?
Just a $200 double. It was nothing fancy. It was a 1x1 double. Just happened to hit it really, really well and put us in position to succeed. Are
daily doubles one of your favorite wagers if they're allowed in tournaments?
Oh, absolutely. I think the best way to play the contest are through doubles and exactas. It's a great way to parlay your money. The win bets really only get utilized when you're in a position to win the contest, and that's all you need to do. Typically, it's hard to hit multiple win bets in a row just over the course of a tournament.
So you have $17,000 going into day two, which is good, right? You started with $7,500. They take $2,500 for the entry fee. So you basically doubled your money, but you actually wound up with an excess of $100,000 when the dust settled after the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile, the final race on the card. What did you do on day two that got you from $17,000 to an excess of $100,000?
Well, I yo-yoed my bankroll for a while. It
was a roller coaster ride?
It was. And to make a long story short, we were able to go ahead and parlay the race with Moira in the Breeders' Cup Filly and Mare Turf. That was one of the big hits. It was an exacta with Moira on top of Cinderella's Dream. That put the bankroll a little bit over $30,000 at that point.
And let me stop you right there. At that point, when you had $30,000, what was the leader at approximately, if you even know? Do you look at the leaderboard and see where you're at?
At that point, I was paying a little bit more attention to the leaderboard. The leader was somewhere in the $130,000 to $140,000 range.
Did that intimidate you at all?
No, because you have to hit the last race of the BCBC typically to put yourself in a position. And the goal is always to parlay your money, get it into the $40,000, $50,000 range, and then you shoot for the moon.
So obviously you probably accomplished that. You're at $30,000. Did you leapfrog all the way up to $100,000, or did you hit something in between?
No, I dropped all the way back down to about $21,000. I did it the hard way as usual. So was fortunate enough to basically have a bet that an exacta box that was I hit a bullseye in the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile with full Serrano to post time. It was a $1,000 exacta box, and it came back I think $96 for a buck.
You were still going to make money even if you lost the bet, but of course the whole strategy behind the bet was to try and get somewhere high in the leaderboard, because not only did you walk away with an excess of $100,000 of actual live money bankroll, but third place prize money was
$152,000.
Well, that's okay, right?
Yeah, it was a good day at the windows.
So it begs the question: have you taken any exotic trips? Are you putting it away for some future endeavors that I know are part of your upcoming life?
Yeah, most of that money is going to personal life. Obviously, the fiance's really happy. We've got a wedding coming up, and honeymoon's paid for, those types of things. So it was a terrific day. Really, really happy for all of the family, and got to share it with my brothers. And it was a good day.
You and I and many of our friends, Tyler, are very devoted tournament players, but I'm sure there's a lot of people watching who do not play tournaments. And I think that's a mistake, because tournaments teach you a lot about handicapping. And let's face it, we're talking about a high-end tournament like the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge, but there's plenty of tournaments out there that you can buy into for 40, 100, whatever it might be. And the ultimate goal is to do exactly what you did, to get that extra prize money. By the way, was there other things besides the prize money? Does it get you an NHC seat, a seat in the BCBC next year?
It did. I was able to secure my second NHC seat for this upcoming March.
By finishing third in the BCBC.
Correct.
But what would you advise players who are watching who haven't played in tournaments why they should?
The prize money alone is the reason to play. I mean, you look at it at a day like the Breeders' Cup, in which I was fortunate enough to turn $7,500 into a $115,000 bankroll, and yet won more money through the prize money than I did betting that day, which is the greatest betting day I've ever personally had. So I think that speaks for itself, that you can turn something small like a Haskell tournament, which, you know, at that point I fed in for $118. It turned it into a $2,000 entry, which then turned into a $10,000 entry, and then turned into the score of a lifetime.
It's a beautiful thing when it happens, that's for sure. Now, your success doesn't come easily. You spend a lot of time watching race replays, and I know a lot of players watch race replays. But when you watch replays, there's obvious trouble and then there's subtle trouble. Like, what type of advice would you give a newcomer, like a young person just get involved in the game who wants to become like a real advanced type of handicapper? What do you look for, generally speaking, when you're watching replays?
I want to find subtle trouble, looking for trouble that's not necessarily labeled in the racing form. The trouble that everybody sees, that type of runner typically gets overbet, especially in grass races. In grass races, more than ever, it is trip dependent all the time. So just because a horse has trouble one time does not mean that he's going to have trouble the very next time. I'm looking for something to improve, something that's not noted, and especially in maiden turf races, that's where I think the true value in trip handicapping comes in.
Fair enough. Now, what about speed figures as an example? How do you balance the other elements of handicapping, whether it's trainer-jockey combinations, pace, final speed figures, whatever you might use, Thorograph, Bayer, Ragozin? How do you balance that with what you saw in the race replay?
Depends on the year you're talking. In the old school days, my dad and my grandfather used to develop their own speed figures, so that's what originally got used. Over time, we've kind of relied on our own. We're a Brisnet family, so we use the Brisnet racing form. So we use those figures to kind of balance and set our, what we call the par in the race. Horse has to kind of be able to hit that number or show that he can be around that number in order for us to really consider it. So it factors in like everything else. It's a light touch in everything that you do in this game.
We're always on the number whenever we have Tyler Hoffman as our seminar guest. He's going to go through today's 9-race card, tell us who he likes, and more importantly, why. But before we do any of that, let's toss the microphone over to track announcer Frank Miramati and get the early changes on today's Friday's card here at the Great Race Place.
Good morning and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the Great Race Place. The track is fast and the turf course is firm. Here are the changes. Changes in race 1. Note that the rail on the turf is out 30 feet for our second day of racing. First race starts the early pick 5. The second begins the early pick 4. Race 3. Number 2, Elegant Sway, will carry 2 pounds over. The fourth race starts the $2 pick 6. Scratch number 5, Arabian Flirt. Scratch number 6, Colmus. 5 and 6 are out. Fifth race starts the all-turf pick 3 on races 5, 7, and 9. So the start of the 50-cent late pick 5. Race 6 starts the late pick 4. No changes. The 7th, the Robert J. Frankel. Scratch number 4, Rashmi. And in the 8th race, scratch number 2, Misleading. Late double starts with race 8. 9th race, scratch all the also eligibles. Scratch numbers 10, 11, 12, and 13. And number 4, Druidic, will carry 2 pounds over. Enjoy your day here at Santa Anita Park. Post time for the first is in 58 minutes at 12 noon. We go back to Quigley's Corner now. His special guest today is Tyler Hoffman.
Welcome back. We're talking horses with Tyler Hoffman. He's an everyday horse player who's here at Santa Anita almost each and every live racing day. He's also a very accomplished tournament player. He finished third in the Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge last November at Del Mar. He took home in excess of $250,000. Congratulations to him. It's certainly well earned. Tyler, before we talk about today's 9-race card, just a question for you. When I gave you the assignment to be on the seminar, just give us a glimpse into how you kind of approach handicapping the card. I can see you've got the Brisnet form on your computer there, but like, what do? You know, you talk about putting all the ingredients together to come up with the final meal. How do you kind of approach the start of handicapping a card?
Yeah, so I do use a program. It's called Equine Edge. So I start with kind of looking through that, seeing kind of what the program or AI comes up with, to see if any of that makes sense.
And you've had success using Equine Edge, which is why you give it so much.
Yes, I do, and I'm fortunate enough to know that the creator of it, Scotty McKeever. I think he's has a great product. A lot of people use it. Again, it's not a one-size-fits-all thing. You have to kind of use it to your benefit. I go through my own handicapping process of traditional pen and paper handicapping, or in this case, iPad and stylus handicapping. Kind of merge that a little bit with the program. I use workout reports. I watch tape, and then I go back through the card once I have all that information kind of in front of me to make my final decisions.
And what about wagering decisions? Those are all handicapping decisions. But then, of course, if you fall on a 4 to 5 in every race, suddenly the card might not seem that attractive. How do you kind of make your final wagering decisions?
Looking for value. The hardest part about our game right now is that the margins are thin, especially for the everyday player. So you have to demand value. Now, value in the old days used to mean you found prices on winners, win bets. Today, I think it's more the values in exotics. So we're looking at more exactas and doubles for me personally. And so when I'm looking at those types of bets, I'm looking for anything that's paying maybe 15 to 1 and above from that value standpoint.
And I know a lot of other daily double players who think that pool might be where the most value lies, because it's not a ginormous pool where all the CRWs are getting involved, and it's the everyday type of player. And yet, you can string together an 8 to 5 to a 4 to 1, and when you do the math, suddenly it's a big overlay.
Yes, and again, now we can get into this conversation of takeout rates and all of that kind of stuff. But at the end of the day, you just got to look for value when you're the everyday player. Every card is different. Today's card is different than yesterday's card. Yesterday's success means nothing towards today's, as we've already discussed. So at the end of the day, you're just trying to find a way to beat the card that's in front of you.
One more question that relates to Equine Edge, and we've talked about this off camera before. How do you kind of ignore your traditional handicapping approach and rely more on what I'll refer to, and you refer to it as the AI approach? Because unfortunately, 8 out of 10 times, and I'm just using a generalization, the machine is going to be more right than you are.
It is hard. And there is a phrase that we've kind of developed in our family that says you can't out-handicap the program. And it's a joke, but at the certain aspect, it also is very true. And so it's a delicate balance. You're always kind of caught in between. And over time, you start to see patterns develop, and you utilize those patterns, hopefully, to your benefit. And you go from there.
Well, let's see if we can use those patterns to find some winners on today's 9-race card. Kicking things off in race number 1, which, of course, begins the 50-cent early pick 5. We're on the turf course. The rails today on the turf are at 30 feet. This is for fillies and mares sprinting 6 furlongs on the turf course. It's a starter optional claiming race. We've got a field of 7, and the current betting choice is number 6, Certitude, who is 4 to 1 on the line, but is currently 2 to 1 on the tote board. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Tyler, I want to watch a replay back at Del Mar. It was back on November 17th, and it involved 2 runners that are in today's field, number 2, Avois, and number 7, Long May She Reign. When we watch this replay and listen to Larry Comas describe the action, you'll see that both are pressing the pace. They're going to be wearing saddle cloths number 2 and 6. So let's watch both Avois and Long May She Reign perform in their last race.
They're off. Avois and Long May She Reign had very good beginnings. Gem Mind is out running in 3rd. Jai-Ho 4th. Toulouse to Track is out in 5th. Then it's Smooth as Butter and Activated is the trailer up the backstretch. Long May She Reign. And Ricky Gonzalez leading the way 3/4 of a length. Jai-Ho to the outside is 2nd. Avois is riding the rail in 3rd as they race for the far turn. Then Gem Mind together with Toulouse to Track 3 wide. 2 lengths more back to Activated 2nd last. Now the trailer is Smooth as Butter. 23:04 was the first quarter. Around the far turn they go. Long May She Reign is the leader as they come to the top of the stretch. Avois is 2nd and still 2 lengths behind at the 8th pole and sticking to the inside. Activated has come on the scene and is closing late. Here comes Activated down the outside trying to come and get Long May She Reign. Long May She Reign, Activated. These 2 down to the wire. Activated gets up over Long May She Reign.
Tyler, I think you're surprised that number 2 Avoir, who we just saw finish a close third there, is currently 7-1 on the tote board. The concern would be that replay we just watched was at 5 furlongs. Today's distance is 6 furlongs. You like Avoir best in the race. Tell us why.
Yeah, and it's actually kind of interesting because we both can watch that replay and saw two different things. I actually didn't mind that trip for Avoir. I actually thought that JJ tactically perhaps should have stuck more to the rail there. Again, it was a 50-50 decision. It's in real time. It's hard to know. But I think that probably caused the difference between beating Long May She Rain last time and finishing behind her. So today, I think with going back to Santa Anita, back to 6 furlongs, third off the bench, I think all of those are good things for Avoir. I expect this one to be forwardly placed in this race, probably sitting just off Long May She Rain, and hopefully gets the job done for us. And would love to see that 7-1 come post time, though I imagine it'll be much shorter than it is now.
And you also like the current co-favorite, number 3, Pink Whitney, returning off a June layoff. Frankie Dettori in the saddle. Always hard to evaluate layoff runners. She's had 13 chances, which is 1 career victory. Why do you like her to perform well in race 1?
Yeah, traditionally at these 6.5 flat races at Santa Anita, I like horses on the cutback. And the other thing I like about this runner is my elimination handicapping. Go back and take a look at all of her races with Lasix, which is what she will be running with today. All of those are her best efforts. I think there's a possibility that some of these runners may get leg weary in this race, including Avoir, who's going to be chasing the pace. And I think Pink Whitney is going to be the one running on late, and hopefully can kind of back us up there so we have somebody up front and somebody coming from behind.
It's interesting that Lasix angle you just referred to certainly came into play in yesterday's first race with Noble Reflection. Similar type of past performances. If you still have those past performances, go back and look at Noble Perfection's races when he uses Lasix. They certainly are much better than when he doesn't use Lasix. Yesterday he was on Lasix and got bet down from 20-1 to 5-2 and never looked like a loser. Race number 2 begins the 50-cent early pick 4. We're on the main track. 1 mile is the distance. Main claimers, $20,000 is the claiming tag. Field of 7. Morning line favorite is number 1, She Be Boss, down on the rail. 7-5 from the Luis Mendez barn. Give us your thoughts on race 2, Tyler.
My very first thought on this particular race was we have a 7-5 favorite who's a 3-year-old filly taking on the boys. And that right off the bat screamed a type of favorite that I want to play against. Now, again, this is a race in which most of the runners in here, obviously they're kind of shy being that they're all maidens, but they also don't have a lot of beauty in their PPs. For that reason alone, we're looking for somebody that hopefully will make it to the front. And from that point forward, hopefully no one wants to go by him, I should say. And that's going to lead us to our top pick in the race, number 2, Mongolian Max. Now, again, these PPs are awful. There's nothing in this thing to like from a handicapping standpoint. But there are 2 big changes today that I think could create a reversal of form for this particular runner. Number 1 is the blinkers off angle. One of my favorite angles, especially in a maiden race.
Why is that?
I just think horses tend to relax when the blinkers come off, especially when they've shown nothing to date. It's just something that can wake them up. It's kind of like the light bulb angle, first time gelding. I think it's a very similar handicapping angle that comes to fruition, especially at prices. The second thing you'll notice about this runner is the weight break with the apprentice hopping aboard today. I think that 5 pounds is a big deal in this type of race. It's even less than the 3-year-old filly in here who's running at 119 pounds. The third angle I would say if I had to create another justification for this runner is the drop in class. This is the lowest level this particular runner has ever run at before. So we're hoping that those 3 factors lead to a huge reversal of form, and we'll know very early on in this race if we're on a live particular runner.
You also like number 7, Silver and Black. Is that because you're a Raiders fan?
No, I'm a Green Bay Packers fan. I would never root for the Raiders. But with that being said, this one obviously 0 for 13, kind of been a little bit of a plotter throughout. I thought just last time at Del Mar on the drop down to 20, never really got in the right spot, kind of got into trouble early in this race, was obviously well bet going off the favorite at a lukewarm 7-2 that day. Coming into Santa Anita, probably is a runner that's going to be forwardly placed. Has shown the propensity to pass some horses, which a lot of these runners in here have not. So again, the 5-1 is it's a default second pick in this particular race. This is an ugly race. I'm obviously going to be keying the 2 kind of every which way.
Going back through your racing handicapping career resume, I recall that you actually won the Survivor tournament here when you were a young pup. What year was that, and how much money did you win? And that probably felt like $1 million.
Oh, man. So I was 18 years old when that happened, and that would have been a $3,000 first place prize, which was huge back then. That's a big deal. One could say that kind of funded the bankroll that we've gotten to today. So yeah, God, that'd have been, 14, 15 years ago.
But you were doomed from the start. You were on your dad's shoulders when you were like 3 months old underneath the sign of Santa Anita. And of course, your dad's a big supporter of the game. Your grandfather's a big supporter of the game. I mean, just handicapping runs in your family's blood.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, my parents met out here at the racetrack in the paddock back in 1981. So, and you're actually giving my dad too much credit. He didn't wait 3 months. It was like 4.5 weeks before I was out here.
Race number 3, we're back on the turf course going 2 turns, 1 mile is the distance. Fillies and Mares, $25,000 is the claiming tag. A field of 6. Number 3, Big Mama Sue from the Steve Miotti barn is the 4-5 morning line favorite. A lot of odds-on favorites on this particular card. Some I assume you like, some you don't like. Thumbs up or thumbs down on the favorite here?
This one I'm only trying to beat because I just can't take 4 to 5 on a closer in a turf race like this. It's not that Big Mama Sue can't win this race. I'm just always looking for value, and at 4 to 5, that's not why I'm on the seminar, to be perfectly honest with you. So I'm looking for value. I like the 5 Tier Garden for trainer George Papapadroma and Umberto Rispoli. This one returns back to San Anita, a track that she likes. 2 wins in 2 seconds from 7 starts out here. Now, I know she hasn't beaten Big Mama Sue. She's lost a couple times to her, but I think she's going to get the jump on her. And in what appears to be a fairly paceless race, I think that's a big deal. The rails are obviously out today. Last time I saw them, they were at 30 feet.
Correct.
And I think this runner is going to basically be sitting a very, very good trip. If it's not going to be on the lead, it's going to be right off it. I think Rispoli is the best turf rider in the country, and I think can upset the favorite in this particular spot.
You mentioned doesn't seem to be a lot of early pace in the race. Does Equine Edge or any other numbers you use actually incorporate pace, speed, early pace figures?
They do. Equine Edge does. They have a pace metric, and it actually does fairly well. The thing that we've particularly discovered, and my dad and I, through all our handicapping, because everything that we do together in the handicapping process is talk races day in and day out. We think our pace metrics are just as good as any program can put out there. So we tend to rely more on our pace than anything else.
Race number 4 kicks off the $2 pick 6, and it begins going 6 furlongs in the main track for maiden special weights. 2 scratches in race 4. Scratch the 5 and the 6 leaves us with a field of 5. Take note, number 1, Santorina is a first-time gelding, as is number 7, Sandbagger. However, the 3 to 5 morning line choice is number 3, March of Time, owned by a couple of Major League Baseball players you might have heard of, Alex Bregman and Walker Buehler, no longer with the Dodgers, got signed by the Boston Red Sox. Nevertheless, March of Time we haven't seen since December 16th, 2023. Quite the layoff, but first-time Lasix for the son of Justify. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Tyler, I wanted to show a workout for number 1, Santorina. It's the most recent workout that you can see in the daily racing form. It was on December 20th. It was a bullet workout, including breaking from the gate, and here it is right now. Santorina is down on the inside, and as I often say when we watch these workouts, courtesy of our friends at xbtv.com, watch the arms and the hand movement of both exercise riders. The outside runner is actually going to run on a little bit later on today's card as well, also trained by Mark Glatt. And you can see right now, Santorina is going extremely well. As I mentioned, he's a first-time gelding. And who knows, as Tyler mentioned earlier, maybe that's the light bulb angle for this horse. As we're watching the workout video and looking at the past performances, you can see Santorina's last 3 races were on the turf course. And I have a feeling that Santorina is a better dirt horse than a turf horse. So you just have to be able to draw a line through that and kind of further vindicate that. Again, take a look at the exercise rider's arms and hands, completely still as a statue, while the exercise rider on the outside horse is certainly asking his horse for a lot. They both finish up well in a minute and change, and as I mentioned, this is a bullet workout. But you can see Santorina is doing it much easily and much better than the work made on the outside. So Santorina certainly comes in here razor sharp. And Tyler, I know you like Santorina to upset the favorite in race 4.
I do. This is my single in the early pick 5. I completely agree with your analysis. I think that the 3 turf races, I really didn't understand the placement for any of those. I think this one, after all of those tough efforts, running into horses like Parentine and Eagles Flight Lines, I believe Brother, I want to say, those were just tough efforts, and they kind of ended up in
future stake stars.
Yeah, exactly. And so when you end up running into those types of runners and you don't break the maiden and you start running into these other races, sometimes these types of runners get discouraged. I think the fact that they've taken some time off, they gelded this one, they're bringing it back fresh, I think those are all positive signs. They basically are just restarting the effort with this runner. And some of those races way back in the winter of last meet at Santa Anita, those I think are more than competitive enough to win today's effort. The 6-1 on the morning line I think is probably a little bit too generous. I'm expecting us to see somewhere probably in the 5-2, 3-1 range. I think we're going to pop the gate today and hopefully get the job done for us.
Is it more a price play, or are you actually anti-March of Time, who's going to be the prohibitive post-time favorite?
It's a little bit of both. I March of Time at 3-5 coming off that long layoff, to me that's way too low of a morning line on this type of runner. I don't think there's that big of a difference between that particular runner and Santorina. And I also think that Santorina, I still think, has some talent to him. And I think that if this one, is sharp and that the gelding is the light bulb angle in this particular sense, I love that Flavian Pratt's aboard. I just think that one is the value of the race and potentially the best runner in this race.
Race number 5, we're going 1 mile of turf course for maiden special weight fillies and mares. Also, race number 5 begins the 50-cent late pick 5, as well as the $3 all turf pick 3 with a reduced 15% takeout. We've got a field of 8 in race 5. Number 7, Eternal Rain from the Phil D'Amato barn, is the 6-5 morning line favorite. The Invader from overseas, first time Lasix. What say you about race 5?
Yeah, I'm looking at the two Neil Drysdale runners in here, looking at two price options. The one that I ranked in front was the number 5 Interplay with Frankie Dettori. The blinkers on, I think, is the difference for this particular runner. I'm looking for more of a forward-placed effort. Again, I also like workout reports. It's a big part of my handicapping process. And I like the fact that this one was working out in blinkers and working well. Both of those suggest to me that there is improvement noted. I think Frankie Dettori right now is riding as well as anybody is out here. Obviously, yesterday he had a tremendous opening day. And I expect this one to be into the race early. And with the rails out, that typically favors speed on the turf course. And I think that Interplay is going to sit that kind of trip at the right type of price. The other Neil Drysdale runner was the 8 Colin Dana. This runner's obviously been a little bit camera shy as well. I mean, 0 for 7, kind of been plodding around. But I think the jockey change on this particular runner is a big deal. I love Edwin Maldonado. I love him on a speed horse. But this particular runner looks like he wants to sit off and make one run. And I think Mike Smith is perfect for this 3-year-old filly. I think she is going to sit back today. I expect this one to be coming on late, and I just think that the 15-1 morning line is probably a little bit too high on this particular runner. So that gives us a little bit of a contrasting style again in this particular turf race.
Two Neil Drysdale bombs in race number 5 for our seminar guest, Tyler Hoffman. I want to kind of refer you, Tyler, to the PPs for Kaylin Dana on the bottom. It's interesting, a lot of times players focus on the most recent races, but if you go back to her second career start, they actually started her in a stakes race. Now, maybe that's because there were not any maiden races available at that point. But to put her in a maiden into a stakes race second career start tells me that the connections actually liked her a lot. Now, she didn't pan out. They had to give her time off. But like you said, with a jockey switch and a 15-1 somewhat ridiculous morning line, Kaylin Dana certainly is not the worst long shot in the world.
Definitely not. And again, if we get our single home, this is a spread race in the pick 5, and hopefully you get one of those situations where you can go deep and you catch one of the big prices in it to finish things off.
Race number 6 is where we start to see the influence of the Northern California runners. That's because race 6 is an $8,000 claimers, traveling 1 mile on the main track. It also begins the 50-cent late pick 4. A number of runners invading from Northern California. We're all going to have to adapt to this type of scenario. Some of them don't have much main track dirt form, a lot of synthetic form. But give us your thoughts on race 6, Tyler.
Yeah, I'd like this race up and down, and I love these claiming races, especially for colts and geldings. I don't mind them whether they're at sprints or routes. It's one of my favorite types of races to handicap, and I just couldn't get past the favorite Vanzy. No matter how I set this race up, he's going to sit the best trip in this race. He can sit right off any potential speed that's out there. He can sit a little bit further back if they go quick early. Trader Mark Latt continues to be red hot with his barn. He came back with another winner yesterday. So I just think that Vanzy's going to be really, really tough in here. It's a borderline single for the late pick 5 sequence. And looks to me like the best runner. The dropping class is probably the trick down to the $8,000 level.
But I have a feeling you like number 4, Solo of Midnight, because going sprint to route, you have a feeling he's going to be pressing the pace.
Exactly. And just in case I'm wrong on that 7-5 favorite, I'd like to have a little bit of coverage the other way. And in case this runner goes wire to wire, I certainly wouldn't want to not have it included as part of the selections.
Another wagering strategy question for you. When you're making these exotic wagers, whether it's real money or during tournament play, how do you decide who to single? Like, in other words, with Santorini, you decided to single him in the early pick 5. Like, how do you make that distinction as you're going through each race?
I'm looking, if I'm going to single in a particular race, I want to single something that the general public is not going to be singling. So in that Santorini race, for instance, most people will probably end up singling the Baffert runner at 3 to 5. So the value in the pick 5 comes in trying to beat that particular runner. If you're going to end up going deeper in that particular field and you end up catching the Baffert runner, you really you dilute the value of the pick 5 wager altogether. So that's really the main strategy.
Race number 7 is our feature race on today's card. It's the Grade 3 Robert J. Frankel Stakes, $100,000 guaranteed for fillies and mares going a mile and an eighth on the turf course. It also begins the $3 late pick 3 with a reduced 15% takeout. Scratch the 4, leaves us with a field of 6. Jonathan Thomas has 2 runners in here, but the morning line favorite, number 7, Hang the Moon from the Phil D'Amato Bar, 9 to 5 on the morning line. Partly owned by TVG or FanDuel Racing's Mike Joyce. Thumbs up or thumbs down on the favorite here, Tyler?
Hang the Moon makes all the sense in the world here. There's no doubt she's talented. She gets an A workout, which I think there have been 3 A workouts the entire year that I've seen. So the fact that this one comes back with that says that there's probably no Breeders' Cup bounce today.
Look at that time on the training track.
Unbelievable. 57 and 1 bullet. I think she fits well in the race. There's no way I could not use her in any of my tickets. I put her as the second pick in the race more because of the morning line. And again, trying to look for a little bit more value than anything else. My top pick in the race ended up being the second of 2, Jonathan Jonathan Thomas runners in here. Mufi, the number 6. I thought the Matriarch was a sneaky good race by her. She got caught down on the inside, had to wait for some runners to get out of her way. Thought she exploded well in the lane. She came home in a fairly quick time. Last 3 furlongs came home in 22 and 4. So that type of explosive turn of foot will do her well in here. She might end up being a little bit ahead of Hang the Moon turning for home, and that might be the difference in a typical turf race.
Both Hang the Moon and Move, the outside 2 runners, are sired by Uncle Mo, who unfortunately we lost recently. I know you've been to Kentucky to visit some of the farms, and certainly that's a very magical experience. But how important is pedigree when you're taking a look at, either established runners or maybe even maidens? How much emphasis do you place on pedigree, if at all?
The only emphasis I put on pedigree is in maiden races. Once the horses are established, if a particular runner is, let's say, not bred for turf, but has run on turf 10 times, has already won 3 times, hit the board 3 other times, at that point, I really don't care about the pedigree. The PPs speak for themselves.
Race number 8 begins the $5 late daily double, also with a 15% takeout, and we're going 6 furlongs in the main track. For maiden special weight, 2-year-old fillies. Scratch the 2, misleading, leaves us with a field of 6. Before we get your thoughts on the race, Tyler, there is one runner in here who just has 1 career start, and that's number 5, Surf Song. It was back at Del Mar on November 24th. Trained by Leonard Powell. The blinkers come off today. Let's watch the replay for Surf Song and listen to Larry Colmus describe the action. Surf Song will be easy to find. She breaks from the rail. She's going to have a bit of trouble going down the backside, but then unfortunately she gets tired. Keep in mind this replay we're about to watch is at 6.5 furlongs. Today's race is at 6 furlongs. Let's roll the tape and watch Surf Song's debut performance.
They're off. Not the best of starts for Mad Pursuit. It is Artisma who goes out to the early lead. Plenty of company as the favorite. No Bad Beats comes through on the inside and takes over. And farther out, it's American Blessing. These 3 now across the track. After a slow beginning, Mad Pursuit is going up into the pack as well, splitting horses and all the way up into second. Surf Song is 5th and down on the rail, just 2 lengths from the front, and just ahead of Marula and 'Cause I'm Perfect, the trailer. 22.55 was that opening quarter mile for No Bad Beats, who leads it by a neck. Mad Pursuit on the outside, pressing the issue in second. Then Artisma, Surf Song to the inside, and American Blessing under a ride, wide on that far turn. Marula is next. 'Cause I'm Perfect is the trailer, as No Bad Beats motors right along here, opening up to a 3-length lead while still well in hand, coming to the top of the stretch. Surf Song has rallied up into second, but is under a full-out drive. Then Artisma to the outside, and they're into the stretch. No Bad Beats, another furlong to go. Artisma trying to make a race of it, closing down the center. Artisma's got a chance. No Bad Beats and Artisma, these 2, and No Bad Beats is passed by Artisma late. Artisma goes on to win by 2.5.
Tyler, No Bad Beats actually suffered a bad beat there, had an open length lead coming into the lane, but certainly got worn down late. Surf Song actually ran well, I thought. Umberto Rispoli decides to ride another runner in her, but you get Flavian Pratt. I know you like Surf Song best in this race. Tell us why.
Yeah, so that replay, kind of taking you through my process of what I'm looking for. Obviously, the slow start is obvious, but it's important to note that at Del Mar, that rail position at 6.5 furlongs is a huge, huge problem. Very few runners are able to escape that rail draw and run a successful race, much less win it. So right off the bat, the odds were stacked against this particular runner. I'd like the move up down the backstretch to get back into contention. And if you notice, all the way past the quarter pole, this one had pretty much moved up to within 2 lengths of No Bad Beats before tiring in the lane. I thought it was really important to note that Umberto Rispoli kind of wrapped up on the runner in the final 16th of a mile, which exaggerated the final margin of defeat. To me, that spoke more to the fact that they knew this one was beat and were saving it for next time. I think the equipment change is a big deal. The blinkers coming off, as is the fact that debut effort was at 6.5 and today's effort is at 6 furlongs. That kind of stamina built up is probably going to do her a lot of good second time out.
We close out the day in race number 9, which offers $1 super high-five wagering, and we're back on the turf course, 1 mile the distance. Calbred allowance optional claiming types, non-winners of 1 other than. Take out all the also eligibles. 10, 11, 12, and 13 will not compete. Still leaves us with a good field of 9. Number 5, Brazenly, owned by our friend Radar Rob, is the 7-2 lukewarm morning line favorite. Give us your thoughts on the nightcap, T.
Well, we always have to root for Radar Rob as well as our friend Dan Azacarte, and we'll be pulling for him. But from a handicapping standpoint,
but not financially.
Well, financially he'll be included, but we still got to handicap the race. The top pick in this race is going to be the number 1 Invest a Lot for trainer Ryan Hansen. Simply just like the last 2 efforts for this particular runner. On the front end, I thought the times of those races were very, very good, especially that third fraction, the 111 and 2, 110 and 2 up on the front. Those are very quick and a lot quicker than most of these runners in here can do. If this one's able to get to the front early in this race, I think has a chance to stretch them out and probably run them off their feet in here. The other runner I'm looking at in the race is number 2, Big George. Again, another contrasting style. This one's camera shy, only 1 for 12, but does pick up the services of Umberto Rispoli today. And if the pace does fall apart, this is the best closer in the race who's going to be flying down the stretch late. So again, contrasting styles here in this turf race to close out the card.
You said Umberto Rispoli is the best grass rider in the country, I believe is what you said. If you did say that, why do you believe that?
I just love the way that he rides the turf course. He always is tactical with every move that he makes. He's not afraid to ride the rail. He sits a nice pocket trip more times than not. And then when he's on a closer, he's always looking to save ground, but he gets out in time for the most part. Now, again, turf riding, I think it's 80% skill, 20% luck. But I think Umberto Rispoli does it as well as anybody in the country.
What do you think of his ride on Johannes yesterday?
Fantastic. What a cool horse to ride.
Never even asked him to run.
No. And ran terrific in the Breeders' Cup, too. Very unfortunate that More Than Looks was able to run him down because that was a winning effort on that day.
Undefeated on the St. Anita Turf Course. Expectations are we'll see him next in the Pegasus World Cup Turf on Pegasus World Cup Day at our sister track, Gulfstream Park. We're always in the money whenever we have Tyler Hoffman as our seminar guest. T, thank you so much for your time and insight today. Congratulations on your Breeders' Cup Betting Challenge score. Hopefully that sets you up for a big 2025 as well. Good luck in all the upcoming tournaments.
Thank you so much, CQ.
Thanks to all of you for watching. Keep in mind, live racing resumes tomorrow, Saturday, with an early post, 11:30 a.m. First post tomorrow, Saturday only. We've got a good 10-race card. Until then, have fun, everybody, and good luck.
Ladies and gentlemen, please rise for our national anthem. Good morning and welcome to Santa Anita Park, the great race place. Track is fast, turf is firm. The track conditions